So, what are you? Which kind of are you? Like a online
Yes,
metal?
yes, I have. I'm actually a musician. I was one of the pioneers of heavy metal in Syria with my soul band, the Hourglass. But then you discover that the world has changed, and you have to be a content creator.
Oh yeah.
Maybe it's paying off more than being a musician. So I made this heavy talk online.
Heavy talk.
Yeah, I call it heavy talk.
Okay.
You know, like BBC hard talk.
Yeah,
I call it heavy
no, I
talk.
get it.
So I'm talking heavy metal and guitar gear and and stuff like that.
Because you're a guitarist as well.
I'm a guitarist, yes. Necrobutcher, thank you very much for being with me here in Heavy Talk. Thanks for your time.
Not a problem.
First, one of the first questions that I always ask is regarding the gear, the analog versus modelers. I have seen Quad Cortex on stage now, but I have seen the bass, a huge bass amp, a real head, and a mic. So, what do you think about modelers since you prefer a real amp? Have you tried that?
I think it's not completely came up to the level of the hardware yet, unfortunately. Otherwise, it would be much easier to travel with a little digital thing. And until we have that technology, I'm gonna have to continue using my 8x10 Ampeg rig. And tonight I have a SVT4. There's many good Ampeg heads, and so I'm just glad that they could provide a professional one here.
Yeah.
And I like the SVT4. It's a nice. It's good with the equalizer too, because then you can peak the midtones and stuff. It's also another thing is that, which is a good thing I think now. The drums will always be acoustic. Also on stage you would hear it, and to be able for Hellhammer to be able to hear the bass, we need that, because he doesn't want any bass in his in-ears or his monitors. So I have shitloads of leads, and if he doesn't hear him, he just starts wherever. Who knows where it is? He doesn't know where I am. So to make sure that he knows where I am at all time, I'm more confident with using the Ampeg.
He feels that on stage.
It's next to his.
I noticed that.
It's next to him, so if he doesn't hear that, then he is deaf.
No, I'm sure he's not. We've seen him playing. He's a guitar. He's a great drums player. Regarding songwriting, I have noticed that reading the info of the songs, that you have taken less interaction in songwriting in later years. Maybe the latest album is mostly written by Telok. How is the songwriting relationship between the band? Like Telok writes something, you sit down, all of you, or you and Hellhammer, you say nice, not nice, yes, no. How is it?
Yeah, I wish it was like that. No, it's easier for me to tell you from the beginning. We started the band in 1984. Me and Jorn and Mayhem. We are self-taught on our instruments, except Mayhem. He knows the notes, also he can read the music, because he was in the school band.
Okay.
And so we're self-taught, and then when we were composing music, in the beginning, it was the three of us. Of course, the two with the string instruments, me and Jorn wrote the songs.
Yeah.
And of course, Mayhem contributed with the how to say, you know, finding his way on the drums or around the songs, and then I wrote all the lyrics for the Pure Fucking Armageddon, you know, Carnage, Pure Fucking. And then the Death Crush, I wrote all the songs, the lyrics, the Death Crush, the Necrobutcher, the Chains of God's Fuck. Those songs. And then when we came back after our tragic, also, and then the Mysteries, we were still collaborating, me and Euronymous. And then we had written 5 songs. For the Mysteries, we co-write them, and then Dead committed suicide, and then I was struck by grief, and then Euronymous had taken photos of his corpse and stuff, and
You left the band?
No, I never left the band. I told him, until you burn those photos, never fucking talk to me again. Because this is a disrespect towards a friend. And I thought that he would come to his senses. And then 2 years later, he called me and wanted me back in the band. Apparently, had burnt the photos. I never saw any. Because I didn't want to see it either, because I don't want to remember my friend like that. And then the summer of '93, we got together again, started to make plans. I was gonna dub do the bass, and then Jorn was killed. Then, of course, another little down period for me because of the sadness of what happened. And then finally, when we got together again, we brought in a new guitarist. Blasphemer. And of course, we encouraged him to try to write something. And he came up with the Wolf's Abyss. And Maniac wrote the lyrics. And then on Grand Recreational War, I was told not to interfere because I had some lyrical ideas, but I told not to interfere because it was a concept album, and it wouldn't fit in if somebody else came in. And I bought that. That was okay with me. I thought the album Grand Recreational War was great. It's a great album. And then Blasphemer moved to Portugal. Didn't want to hang out with us anymore, but finished the album, the Chimera. Same principle. He wrote all the music. Didn't want or let anybody in. I was okay with it. I think the album was great. And then Maniac left. After I came back in the band. And then for the older KO, Euronymous wrote all the music, and Attila wrote all the lyrics. Then Blasphemer left, 2008. Then we required Telok, and then later on Charles on guitars. We encouraged them to write music. Tello came up with the historic warfare. I think he wrote a lot of the lyrics. I haven't really. It was more like a studio project. That's why we never played the songs live until now, because we have the 40-year anniversary now. So we included 2 songs from that album.
On Wikipedia, it says that Attila wrote the lyrics of the album.
The whole album?
Nearly.
Yeah, okay. Well, that might be right. That's probably right. I thought maybe Taylor had written some. Anyways, and then it came time to do another album, and we decided that this time everybody was gonna contribute.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be like one songwriter. We all gonna contribute. So we all wrote lyrics. I wrote the Bad Blood for the Demon album.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to come back as a songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
And Charles had half of the songs, and Telok had half of the songs. So basically that is the musical history of songmaking in Mayhem.
You sit together or each one alone and then you gather, share ideas?
In the beginning, the Death Curse, the Pure Fucking was made in the Rush place.
Okay.
Me and Euronymous and Hellhammer, sorry, Mayhem was jamming. We jammed out those tracks. Also the Mysterious, half of it. I think in the later years, Telok, Blasphemer and Charles have composed at home alone and then presented us demos.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got together and rehearsed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we do it these days.
Great.
In the whole career of Mayhem from the 80s until now, because of the circumstances, few albums in relation to the time were released. So, for example, Hellhammer, he works with many other projects and Attila, and I couldn't find side projects for you. So, you feel that Mayhem is your sole musical path, or you have some kind of day job? I don't know. I'm just asking why there isn't any side project for you.
There is a side project, but that's also Mayhem, and it was called Kvikksølvguttene. It was with two members that was in between. After Dead committed suicide, we were out, and Mannheim had left us. Oh, wait a minute. Mannheim had left us. Yeah, Maniac didn't want to be in the band from day one. So he should be listed as session, just like Messiah on the Death Curse album, because he never wanted to play live or be in the band. So he was just on the project, the Death Curse project, rehearsed 2 times, and then went to the studio. Then, after Mannheim left in 1987, me and Euronymous wanted to continue. So we had a friend in a band called Vomit, a drummer. So we required him to rehearse with us. And then the vocalist of this band came in as a vocal, just for the rehearsals and just keep us going. And his name is Torben Grue, he's the drummer, and the other one, Kittil Kittelsen, which is actually related to the famous painter, Theodor Kittelsen. He had made like Bursum has Hvis lyset tar oss.
He's Norwegian?
Norwegian artist, yeah.
Yeah.
Black and white pencil.
Ah, okay.
He drew a lot of from the Black Plague and traditional Norwegian folklores. So these two people, that was required in between, also in 1987, when Hellhammer came in and Dead came in, also in the late, in the 88, then these two people that were just helping us at the time was back in their own band, and we said thank you very much for the help. And then in 1995, after Euronymous had passed away, I got in touch with these people again, and we felt like we had something unfinished business. So we went to the studio and recorded an album called Krig, means or German for war. It's 8-track and also an EP called Gamlem. So 2 releases on Voices of Wonder Records came out in 1995, 1996. So that is a side project.
Yeah.
Now, I've been asked many times from bands to join them or help them live or come to studio, or I said no to everything. Because like you said in your question, this is my lifetime project. I started it when I was a juvenile, when I was 16 years old. I'm still in the band 40 years later. The 2 years I was off in grief, but also I had a problem with Euronymous at the time because of what happened. So I think it's just, so yeah. So it's been my whole life. I am the only one in Mayhem that has a Mayhem tattoo to show the dedication. And I'm committed only to Mayhem because I don't want to be I don't have any need to play in all the bands.
I've noticed even in later albums, there's still the spirit of early Mayhem, early Creator, early Death, Possessed. There's still the feeling of the early bands, Celtic Frost, of the early bands who started or who were influential on black metal. Meanwhile, a lot of the Norwegian black metal bands or Cradle of Filth or any other band that took that direction, they put a lot of synthesizer or symphonic elements in their music. And I have seen that you like Depeche Mode, maybe Duran Duran, and you like maybe synth pop music. So why not putting synth elements in Mayhem like many other black metal bands?
We never thought that was for us. Actually, when you say that we never did that, it's actually wrong. We have a song called Blood, Swords and the Colder Sun on the Grand Decoration of War album, which has a synthesizer, which is a big deal of the track, made by Anders Odden from Cadaver.
Okay.
He was required to do that at that time. No, you know what? I feel personally that our music is like some kind of aggressive thing. And if you put nice melodies or synthesizers, keyboards on top of it, it kind of smooths out the aggressiveness of the guitars and the drums. So for us, we stuck to the old ways of expression ourselves. And I see that a lot of other bands use keyboards and stuff, and that works for them because that's their style. And but we do our thing. And I think the answer to your question really is that you said that I also listen to all the type of music, which is true. But when I make music, this thing comes out.
Naturally from you.
Naturally. So that's why I could never make a good Depeche Mode song or a cool Duran Duran song or
I mean elements of that.
Yeah.
Surely not a pop song.
Yeah, but like some of these disco beats are pretty heavy, and if you have a darkness to it like Depeche Mode, you have the beats and then you have the darkness, which is a perfect combination for me to listen to. But I don't make that music myself.
I understand. What do you think? Excuse me. في شيء عم بيرن تليفوني.
There is a cell phone that.
Oh, it's mine. The guys
excuse
are. I can put it on. But that's the international. Bring. Let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, still going on, so now I can turn this off on silent mode. Also, I'm glad that you did your research. You know what you're talking about, so that's good.
Thank you. I always
You're
do that because I hate generic question. I really don't want to go through what happened to Dead or what happened to Euronymous. We all know the story, and maybe it's painful for you if I talk about this stuff. So I think it's disrespectful to keep asking the same fucking questions all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But you know, today I have standard my answers for these questions. You know, it's a big deal for people, and there's no other band that has this kind of history, and there's no other band that this thing ever happened to. So I understand that people are interested and curious about it. And actually, I'm also a little bit happy about it too. Means that people care about it. It would be worse if nobody gave a fuck.
Yeah, maybe people, regular people, they like to gossip more than they care. I don't know.
Yeah, but yes, and that is right. Just look at the social media today.
Yeah.
They're just full of haters and idiots.
Exactly. It's a gossip platform and hate platform and bullying platform.
Yeah, bullying and hating.
Yeah.
I have a plan for bullies and haters. And I'm not sure if I can say this, but
You can.
I'm starting to think that the people who hate for no reason and slander my band and bandmates and stuff, I'm thinking to Google their address, put it out next to their hate, and tell my real fans to go and get him.
I think you can't say that.
I just said that. And I'm thinking about it. So continue hating and suddenly your house is on fire in the middle of the night. And it's got nothing to do with me. I'm not going to pay you guys for it. And it's up to you. So I didn't order it. I'm just putting out there that somebody maybe should do something about these idiots. Maybe that would be cool.
Theoretically.
Yeah, well,
But maybe we can take it as freedom of speech. I don't know.
Freedom of speech. Yeah. No,
I'm just playing the
a little
devil's
bit
advocate.
hate back to the haters. Yeah, but there's always a Mayhem fan in your town who is crazy enough to do it. So think a little bit before you hate for no reason on the internet.
Yeah.
Because it might come and haunt you in a very bad way. Because for me, it's personal too,
Yeah, your
You
friends.
hate on me for no reason.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to be punished.
What hate?
Well, maybe
goes
I'll
to
start to
people.
hate you back, and then you're in the shit. Because I'm not just a normal person. But I haven't started to get around. But I start to think like this, like maybe we should fucking, do something about this.
I've taken a different strategy. Is try to ignore. I don't know if ignoring hate comments is weakness or being have a شيء ناضج grown up or being because I'm gonna give an example about hate is Lars. I think Lars is a pioneer of music.
You mean Metallica?
Yes. And you see a lot of the kids hating on Lars because maybe they have seen better drummers. Lars is the leader of the greatest band in the world. So who the fuck are you to hate on Lars?
Jealousy.
Yeah, it's jealousy. But maybe ignoring those people who are seeking attention is the best retaliation. I'm not sure.
Yeah, for me it's very simple. I'm not on Instagram, TikTok, or any of this social media, so I don't really pay attention to any of it. And now and then I see comments from other people, and but I'm not there myself, so
Yeah.
I don't.
That's the maybe safest, or you relax of all the pressure. I don't think there's any musician who's liking the idea that he has to be on social media. Like me, if I wasn't a musician, I wouldn't create social media accounts.
Yeah, no. I mean, social media is an extended part of the press, in a sense that people directly, you know, without the journalists and the, you know, to have platforms to speak their mind. I don't mind that, and I think it's maybe the ways of the world. You can't stop it. Maybe it was worse before, when all the papers and TV stations dictated what was going to be the news. So I don't know what's better or worse. It's
Maybe this is
it's always all the people who are having opinions about something they don't know anything about, and the less they know about it, the more opinions they have. Then I stole that from Ghost Man. That was a good quote.
Yeah, it's a very good quote. And I have noticed that, unfortunately, maybe this is a human race, that those who have negative comments are the one who give comment most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, even I try to, there's a saying in Arabic, we say, if you have a good word, say it, or shut up. You know?
Yeah, that's what my mother always said.
I wanted to ask you, what do you think now in the AI world and in the streaming world, before the AI world, how do you see the future of music? It looks like it's scary.
Yeah, some things are going the wrong way, for sure. Some things are going the right way, but more things are going the wrong way. First it was the Spotify, you know, that stole our royalties. And then, you know, like Gene Simmons says, it's all over.
It's over, yeah.
It's all over. You will never have a band like Kiss, like Iron Maiden, Metallica, or Maiden, or Mayhem, for that matter. None of this would ever come again. That's a lost period, because there is no finances to go to a real studio and have a producer, and you know, there is no budgets for it. Everybody's just recording home, and it's just because you don't get paid for it, so you can't invest that kind of money. And therefore, I'm glad that I was in the industry while it was here, and was able to produce albums and for the you know. But I think it went the wrong way very quick. At the same time, the good part of it is that now it's accessible for everyone, for free, more or less. And so that the name got out there, the songs get out there in a much bigger way than just selling physical copies. So that is the good thing about it. But it's sad to think about that, that the whole music industry has changed in a dramatic way. And also, this is going to start to affect the live, because that was the only revenue for musicians after the downloads, you know, the streaming happened. And of course, now the industry are looking to get that money too. So, like in the States, for example, they take percentage of the merchandise sale.
That's very ugly.
It's very ugly, and of course the governments now got aware of that there was a merchandise sale going on in the clubs too, so they want a share of
Tax.
that tax and VAT also. It went wrong somewhere, and but we are still here. We celebrated 40-year anniversary as last year, and I mean, we still have a good record deal. We still be able to produce a couple albums, and for that I'm willing to stick around.
And you got prizes in Norway, something like Grammys. But
Yeah, we
under
have.
Norwegian.
Yeah. Turns out that we now, last 20 years, are Norway's most, together with Dimmu Borgir, Satyricon, Enslaved, and some of these other great bands, the biggest cultural export from Norway. And the government that had their head in the sand, like the ostrich when they get scared, they were told by foreigners that that Norway has great bands, so they couldn't deny it anymore. And then they looked at the numbers, and then for that reason they got proud of us. And when they started to give us Grammy awards and stuff, I thought it was just to cover up their bad, also how.
Their bad treatment against
Yeah,
you?
well, actually, that they hadn't recognized us, and even told shit about us for no reason, and tried to drag us down, and then suddenly now we're on the top, and now they're kissing our asses, with giving us these awards and stuff. That's what I was thinking in the beginning. Now, 10, 15 years later, we still get Grammys and different types of awards, but. Now I think it's more legitimate that they are over it now, and they know and understand that this is the biggest cultural export we have from Norway. Next to Ibsen and maybe Munch.
Yeah, I understand. Can I disagree with you on something?
Yeah, sure.
That you said for no reason, but in the beginning, like what Varg did and what Varg say, his racist comments, and the church burning things aren't.
Well,
I mean, they are scary things.
Yes.
aren't
Okay.
they?
Yeah. Yes. We set out to scare people, and they got scared. So you're right. It wasn't easy to love us. That is true. But the art to be fulfilled, everything has to be in it. Everything has to be included. Light, darkness, evil, love, hate, damage, violence, love. Everything has to be included, even the ugly parts.
Because this is life.
This is life, exactly.
Yeah, I understand. But don't you think that is, in general, especially in the beginnings, that there was maybe still some kind of glorification for violence in the black metal culture? Or maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I've seen that you have a daughter and you have a granddaughter, right?
2 grandsons.
2 grandsons, excuse me.
Yeah.
So you are a granddad.
Yeah.
And for me, I have a boy and twins coming, and he's 2 years old. And when he came to life, a lot of my ways of thinking have changed, because by instinct, I think of him before I think of myself. Do you think that the violent legacy, let's say, in black metal, do you have something negative feelings about the early days, or do you regret something because you have now grandchildren? You got my idea.
Yes. No. I can stand for everything I did or said or wrote. Totally, I'm even proud of the Death Crush album and the Pure Fucking. I don't so I don't have any issue with that. But it's true that when you become a parent and you certainly have responsibility for a human life, and not just yourself anymore, your perspectives change. That is true. On a lot of things. But for me as Jorn, as a musician, I'm still in that negative, aggressive.
I understand. As a musician, yeah.
As a musician, I'm still
Yeah.
there. As a human being, I'm the same as I always have been. And people also tell me that when they meet me and haven't seen me for many years. They say, "Oh shit, you haven't changed anything." And I'm like, I take that as a compliment. Because I already saw everything when I was 16 years old. I was old when I was young. For many wrong reasons. But I took advantage of that. And when I look back, I can't say I regret anything. I never did anything that is regretful today. And I think that for me as a person, that I never did anything to anyone who didn't deserve it. And I'm not talking about I've never been physical I'm not a fighter or, so.
You never heard.
I never conned anyone, I never swindled, I never stole anybody's money, and I never lied about anything. So today I'm completely free to do all interviews in the world and with any type of outlet, and I always say exactly what I mean. And I stand for everything that I ever said. But it changes your perspectives in life when you get kids, and then again when you get grandchildren, which is also the next level, you might say. So, but I think this is a natural thing. I'm 56 years old now. My daughter is 33 years old. So, and I'm still here doing this aggressive stuff.
Chuck Schuldiner removed the inverted cross from the Death logo very early in the 90s, or at Human, when Human came out. So now let's say you had
because it wasn't important anymore.
You had a war you had a struggle to remove a state religion in Norway.
Yeah.
And that happened.
Yeah.
So why sticking to the same images?
Do you think we're sticking with the same images?
I mean, the inverted cross, for example.
Well, you can't go away from your trademark.
So it's only a style, let's say.
Well, we still play the songs we made in the 80s.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm still here. I haven't changed anything. Times have changed,
Yeah.
So at the time we were a state religious country. We were suppressed by the state. We paid shitloads of money to them. We thought that was wrong, and we said we were through our music, came up with our views on that, and so guess we are part of the reason why Norway gave up their state religion. I'm the same guy as I've always been. I'm not Satanist. I'm not Buddhist or Muslim or any of this other religion. I'm only, if anything, more like a atheist. They have to put you in a category to be able to sell your product. So to break it down, in the record store, you would have a section called heavy metal. That's where. So Rainbow, is it metal? Maybe not. Maybe that's rock. You know what I mean?
No.
So you have to. And then it was black metal. Had its own thing. To put a black metal there, thrash metal there, death metal there. And that goes all the way out in the record companies, the magazines, it kind of comes into the whole chain. So everybody got together, you know, like with this theme. Like the death metal should be like about, I don't know, like carcass, you know, death mongling people.
Yeah, diseases, nuclear war.
Fucking cannibal corpse, you know. that was the death metal, or death for that matter, also. Even, but Chuck Schuldiner wrote a little bit deeper and better lyrics than most of these other bands. But then the borders kind of washed out because it got bigger and it got more complicated, and other people who had different backgrounds got into this black metal. So then suddenly we would have folk black, we would have symphonic black, now we have everything. Like, for example, and this is the great thing about this, and the reason why we are doing this interview, and this the reason why you find me interesting to talk to, is that this music is still alive. It's still evolving. It didn't die and get away. It is still evolving. And to bring an example, for example, some years ago, when I thought where to take it now, all the ideas must be used by now, you know. But then suddenly, a band from Norway called Shining, some guys with jazz background, came in, recorded an album called Black Jazz. And it just like, I loved it. It was fantastic. It was the, like, where did that come from, you know?
Yeah.
And then I learned to understand that, okay, it's still evolving. And now the latest contribution to the black metal, I would say a rapper from the East Coast called Ghost Main. Because he was inspired by us. And I don't think that he knew that I was going to listen to his music, but when I did, because somebody said, hey man, you better listen to this rapper, he stole all your riffs. And I'm like, okay. So he sent me and I listened to it, and of course there was recognizable Freezing Moon and some of these very obvious riff that he had stolen and put in, or stolen, maybe a wrong word, maybe inspired is more the right word. And I loved it. I thought it was great. And I downloaded all his albums, I think 8 albums or something. He's still a relatively young man, beginning of his 30s, I think. But that just made me very happy. And the fact that the last thing I want to say about that is, one of his latest album, Anti-Icon. I was listening to it, and then it hit me. He had used the intro that we had made for the last tour we did in the States. Also not the last tour, but the Mysterious Tom Satanas tour. We did a world tour on that record some years ago, 2016 or 2017 or something. And we had made a special intro for that. And he had taken that intro and put it into one of his songs. I'm thinking, not only is he is inspired by us, but he went to our show, probably in New York or something like that. And that made me happy to think about.
This piece of music is original music?
Yeah.
That's stealing.
Well, maybe he altered. Well, yeah, okay, yes, technically. But I don't think, I'm not going to sue him for it.
I was going to ask, now after Mayhem we have like maybe 3 or 4 generations of black metal bands. And the genre is expanding and more elements are included in the black metal. And every band is taking the scene to another direction. I was going to ask, do you like what you see now? And can you mention a black metal band, a new one, that you would recommend from the new generations?
Because I'm an old school guy, you know. I'm
I
listening to
understand.
Depeche
Maybe you're not
Mode and
very
stuff.
informed on the new
Not
stuff.
really, but I can say a couple of names that I feel like some people should check out. Like, for example, Witch Club Satan. 3 girls from Norway formed the band, which is a new thing altogether. Or a band that I like, that I told them that they were the new wine about 10 years ago, a band called Mork. Mork,
Okay.
a band from Norway. I'm not the guy to ask, and I'm sure there's shitloads of new inspiring artists. To listen to music, you have to take your time off. And many times when you have the time to listen to music, you put on something you know, and something, you know, like some old school thing. It's very seldom I have the time to sit down and listen to something new. So during the years, last 20 years, for example, I would say that maybe one band every year gets into my
Your
catalog.
library.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's easy to pick out something from the old.
Yeah, that's for sure. Can I go back to influences a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
I never saw anywhere that you mentioned Merciful Fate as an influence. They are not? Or maybe
Not to me. Not to me. Since you directly asked me about Merciful Fate, I can tell you what my relations with them are. And that was, in the beginning, we craved everything that was alternatively more aggressive or stood out in some darker way. I see that you have your King Diamond shirt on.
Yeah.
So when the Melissa album came out, I immediately liked it. I thought that was a great album. It was heavy. I thought the vocals were a little bit not my style. I like more death metal growling kind of things. You know, more whiskey voice like Lemmy or Kronos. I even like crazy vocalists like Chris Barnes. I thought the vocals were a little bit screaming in my ears. The same with Slayer. I also bought the first records, you know, Show No Mercy, but there was something wrong with the vocals. I loved everything else, but the vocals were a little bit not my cup of tea, let's say. I can understand that people, I mean, there's different people have different opinions. They love it or they're not. It's just not for me.
Yeah, but
The
you
music
like...
was great. So Melissa, then I bought the Dark Funeral EP. I bought the Don't Break the Oath. I thought the Don't Break the Oath album was great. A lot of good tracks there. Also the first EP, which I got afterwards, the Nuns Have No
Nuns
Fun,
have fun.
which I love. I think actually that song is their best song, actually. So with that said, I like Merciful Fate. I have still these records I bought in the 80s. I never sold any vinyls, so I still have those. But after that, I just dropped out.
Mostly because of the vocals.
Mostly because of the vocals.
Because the music...
I'm sorry, King, but you know, like, it's you're a great vocalist, but it's
Not my thing.
Not my. I like other things.
But you like Iron Maiden, I guess. No.
Not really. No, I like Paul Di'Anno better than Bruce. And I like I like the early Maiden. I also like the Peace of Mind album. I thought that was great. I saw them in Oslo, or outside of Oslo in '83, I think it was. Was that the year of the Peace of Mind?
83.
Yeah, exactly, '83. And at that time I liked it. I thought it was great. But I'm not a big Maiden fan. Hellhammer is a big Maiden fan.
Excuse me?
Hellhammer.
Hellhammer, yeah.
He's a big Maiden fan.
Yeah, I read that. I read that. He's maybe more into different kinds of music. You're more focused on...
Yeah, I am, yes, probably. I can't really say. You have to ask him.
So your line is, let's say, Motorhead, Venom, Possessed, Death, Mayhem.
Yeah.
So this is your train of thought or train of influences.
If just to pick some bands, yes. Could be other bands, but the same type of bands.
But
before that, first of all, Rolling Stones.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yes, because in the 1970s, remember I'm an old man, my uncles, who were my heroes, they were listening to Rolling Stones, and they were the wrong guys. Rolling Stones was the wrong band. All the parents hated Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones were probably the evil. They were Satan.
Life changes, huh? It's funny.
Yeah, and then when Black Sabbath came along, everybody knew that, well, it wasn't the Rolling Stones. First it was, wasn't it that guy who sold his soul, Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah. It started with Johnson, he was the devil. And then Keith Richards picked up on that.
Led Zeppelin
But in between, Beatles were the devils. They had long hair and shit. And they were from Liverpool. Rolling Stones is from London, more posh. They are educated people. They're not really the rebels as the Beatles were, really. But the Beatles, the music wasn't that heavy in a sense. I mean, the Stones were more evil. And then, of course, Beatles quit. And then Stones were left there as, you know, like they were banned, and church groups was protesting against them outside the concerts and stuff. And then Black Sabbath came along, and everybody forgot about Rolling Stones being the devils. It was Black Sabbath.
You love Black Sabbath, I guess.
Yes, I love Black Sabbath. With the Ozzy, mainly. But also Iron Gill. I love Born Again. It's a great album.
Born Again, yeah.
Trashed and Disturbing the Priest.
Heaven and Hell, no? Heaven and Hell, no?
I like Ronnie James Dio, but for different reasons. So Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules are not my favorite albums. They are great albums, but not my favorite.
A lot of people will disagree.
Yes. But isn't that wonderful that we have different taste?
Of course. Yeah. So you're not a rainbow guy, I guess.
No, well, no, like I said, I like Ronnie James Dio, but I prefer Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah. Priest.
I like Priest too. Maybe up to... I followed Priest for a while until the Screaming for Vengeance.
Yeah.
I loved that album. I thought that was a great album. But after that, I had too much. There was too much other great bands coming out. Yeah. So I kind of
in your own style.
In my own style too, yeah. So yeah. But we bought everything that was heavy and alternative, more aggressive, like I said, and we started to go to concerts when I was like juvenile. We went to see Dio, we went to see Maiden, we saw Saxon, we saw every metal band that came to Norway. Me and Euronymous went to see all the shows. Motorhead. But of course, for my own influences, I was a big Stones fan because I thought Keith Richards was much cooler and was the real guy, and these Kiss guys were fakes. they had an album called The Elder where they put one Stones track on. I bought The Elder, thought the album was completely crap, but the song 2000 Man is a great album, great song. And then one day I was deep into Western
German?
books about the outlaw America, U.S. Marshals, and the great outlaws of the Wild West, Butch Cassidy, Jesse James, all of these people. And there was an author in Norway who come up with this character, a U.S. Marshal called Morgan Kane. He sold 88 million books. It was 83 books. I bought them all, and I was deep into the universe of this Western character. And then my neighbor came over. He was in my band. We were called Musta in 1980. He came over to me and he said, "Dude, I have a band. I have a record. You're gonna love it." And I went over to his place. I saw the album, Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
The cowboy outfits. And I'm like, what? Put it on. And it was just so perfect for me because I had the books, now I have the soundtrack.
Exactly.
And from then on, it was just like a moment of...
You found everything that you want.
That was the direction. I immediately thought, wow, this is it. And then comes the group Venom, who was heavily inspired by Motörhead. And then it just opened up. The world opened up to Celtic Frost, to Slayer, to Possess, to Death, to Mayhem, to Bathory.
Bathory, yeah.
All these great bands. Also, Merciful Fate has to be mentioned in the beginning as pioneers.
Yeah, of course, but musically they are...
Well, Metallica also. I would also put...
Kill 'Em All, Ride the Lightning.
Kill 'Em All, absolutely.
So, talking about Western, you listen or you like Ennio Morricone, for example, or no?
Who?
Ennio Morricone, the musician who did all the Western movies, or you only read the books, not the cinema?
Yeah, no, I went to see some of this, what's the comedian, fuck, what's it called? It was Bud, was this big guy and another guy, blonde guy. They were Italians. We called it spaghetti western.
Yeah.
They were dubbed in Bud Spencer and Terence Hill. Was that Bud Spencer and fuck was his name? Anyways, there were a lot of western movies in Norway. They were dubbed from Italian to English, most of them.
Like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. That's
for example.
Yeah.
No, I like that, and of course I'm a big Clint Eastwood fan. Love all these old movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially Dirty Harry. We are now in international, country as well, multinational. In Norway, you get citizenship if you are a good boy or a good girl, and work and pay taxes for at least 3 years. You can apply for a citizenship.
3 years?
I think it's 3 years.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's short period, I guess.
But to get in and all that, you have to be, we have a health care system and a school system, and it's a democratic. The government says it's like everybody have to chip in their fair share, also tax, to pay for everyone's welfare. That also includes people who have fall out, psychological people, invalid people, or other people who are struggling, for example. And we like these values. It's good values. And for that we pay good tax. But we have to have laws. We opened up for immigration and hundreds of thousands of people came in. But then we had to put a little restrictions to it because we didn't want them to overturn the system that we had, which was working.
Yeah, I understand.
Because
that.
if it was too much pressure on the healthcare, on the social care, on the psychotic and the hospitals and everything, it will fall apart. So we maintained it. I think our humanity up in the immigration politics, let's say. Of course, now people are more and more to the right in the politics, which is not good for immigration and stuff, because
Not good for black metal.
some people are not good for black metal either. That's true. But that's too late now. We are already here, and also the immigrants are still they are already there. So just we have to deal with it.
I think the government should only force people to follow the law and not misuse the taxes, and because a lot of people work in the black market, they don't pay taxes. And they are from immigrants and non-immigrants too.
No, it's what happens to. It's very easy to see, like for example, Greece and Italy and some other countries when you have the worst corrupted politicians, and of course, people lose faith, and then they say, "Why the fuck should I pay taxes
if this guy is not paying
to enrich some fucking idiot and let him buy a new yacht or something?" You know, so. I understand the people, but they must also understand that first of all, they have to elect some other people that they can trust. Second of all, they have to pay tax to be ordered to, if they get sick, to have a hospital that works, to send their kids into a school that works. You know, and if they get sick, that the government would at least help them, you know. So the way it goes now in Italy and Greece and all these countries, which has had a lot of corruption, you know, that's it's easy to see from outside. And I think even inside of Italy, and people have the internet now and they understand. So I mean, they didn't they elect a comedian as a prime minister some time ago? It was some comedian say, "Hey, I have a lot of people coming to my show."
Ukraine.
No, was it Ukraine?
Yeah, Ukraine, the president is a
No,
comedian,
no.
right?
Well, no, he's an actor. No, this guy is a comedian. He was from Italy. Big hair, made fun of everything, and then people said, "Oh, you should run for president." And then he did, and then he won.
Okay, because people like him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but don't you think all politicians are like, at the end, they are puppets of
they
corporations? And
They are puppets.
regardless, left or right.
You know, it is just a job. You know, like they are there to
sign the paper at the end of the day.
to run society, basically, make the deals and you know. So we have need for them, but not on the political way. More like the people who work as, I mean, you know, governments come and go, but the parliament stays the same. And the people who work for the parliament, the people in the different legislations, like you have a new elected government and there's 12 people in the government, you know, the justice, the health, the war, and also, you know, so on. These 12 people, they get the departments to run. The people in the departments doesn't change.
Okay.
They are the same people. And I hope that these people, when these people who get elected, they tell them what to say and what to do. And if they step out of line, they will have their ministry, also the department, all their people that work for them against them. So in some way they have to fall in.
So it's the same thing, doesn't change.
It's a lot of mouth, a lot of talking, you know.
Yeah, I understand.
But basically nothing changes.
Yeah, that's the sad thing of the plan. What are the plans for Mayhem? Any new music?
We are currently writing on a new album. Most of the, and I have 14 songs, I think, on a demo that
that's
Charles and Telok has already written. And those skeletons, I don't know, I mean, it's a long time since I heard them now. It's almost a year ago. I guess that they have written more and also maybe, let's say, finished more the skeletons on the demos that I already heard. We are supposed to go to studio in a month time from now.
Okay.
To start the recording.
So 1 year until next album, let's say?
Yeah, let's say. To add to the future plans,
yeah.
So like you asked if we have another album coming, and yes, we are working on another album. And also for the next thing, and I don't know when this is going to come out in the air, but we are coming to the United States in March for a long tour. And we have 5 festivals around Europe booked as we speak for the summer. So that is what is in the nearby future for Mayhem. And we already have, you know, like gigs coming up and, you know, tours coming up. And I think the last gig that we have right now is in September. So I just imagine that by September we would have, I would tell you the same thing. We will have some tours coming up at some festivals in 2026, for example. If everything goes well with the recordings and everything, it takes us 2 years to do a world tour. So if the album is out in the beginning of 2026, we have 2.5 years of touring ahead of us.
For the new album.
Yeah. And, you know.
Great plan.
So that's the plan. And also, I mean, we were 40-year anniversary last year, and then 2-3 years from now, and then I would start to think, it's only 6 years left for the 50-year anniversary. And this is where I'm heading.
That's great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. It was
You're
a
welcome.
very interesting
You are
talk.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks.